30,000 per ward? 10,000. So it's about 8 booths. Okay, per ward. Okay, so you have about approximately maybe six booths in every ward. But the nice thing is that the ward will contain a complete number of booths. There is no cutting of the boundary. That is important because people cannot be confused about saying, am I in this or that? It is the only structure like a jigsaw puzzle which fits perfectly as you can add up. So imagine if you created a structure, can be nominees whom the corporator can nominate depending upon the nature of the ward. Could be NGO, could be commercial institutions, because some areas could be more commercial. And the councillor and the corporator is the chairman of this committee. That political power still is with you. And then the municipality is on top of that. Once you create this 3-tier, you have experience in activity mapping in the rural areas. You can do similar activity mapping here. If the municipality is supposed to perform 18 functions, what will it do at this level? What will the ward committee do? And what can an area sabha do? Beneficiary identification, perfectly doable at the area sabha level. Requirements in terms of, say, BPL schemes can be done at the area sabha. We are not suggesting that the area sabha or participation is the end all. It is just a starting point. Executive platforms are the municipality and sometimes the ward committee if you want to delegate some power. Can you page forward? Page forward. What are the benefits? It is formal, it is permanent, it is common, it is integrated with the DPC, MPC, rural. Today's village is tomorrow's town. So when you become a town, what happens to that Gram Sabha? It answers all these questions. And the last point is very important. Today, as elected representatives, the reality is the citizen is getting away free. Because the citizen is simply keeping on blaming everything on the system and there is no finger pointing back at the citizen. The moment you give this kind of a platform, no more is the accountability only with the elected representatives or the administration. Accountability is also with citizens. If you say, I want to do door-to-door collection, property tax collection, Dr. Ramachandran didn't mention this, it's one of the reforms and he is particularly pained about this. Collection across the country is hardly 30% of demand. First of all, we don't have everything in the demand register. Secondly, what is in the demand register, fellows doing it as commercial, claiming it as residential, giving it as tenant, claiming it as own occupied, all that will change now. You can make people accountable. Page forward please. It is in the mission. Page forward. As Dr. Ramachandran mentioned, other states have passed it. I remember 2.5 years back, we had a workshop in Andhra. There was a lot of passionate debate and dissent, saying no. But the question we asked was, you keep coming back to saying, if you don't want participation, no problem. I mean, we're all mature enough to say, in a closed room, we can have a frank discussion. But if you want participation, then we must answer the question, how? And let us explore the how. So Andhra has passed the laws. Area Sabha is now reality in Andhra Pradesh. It is now reality in several other states. Andhra in fact has gone beyond the first state, sir, to pass the rules under the law last week. What are the questions? Number one, citizen is only a customer. There is no need to have any participatory structures. There are so many benefits that come out of this. Urban citizens are more self-centered than rural citizens. As I mentioned, anticipated behavior of what they are going to do is not a reason to deny somebody an opportunity. There is no constitutional provision beyond ward committee. Constitutional provision already includes the provision for additional platforms. This was something Law Ministry had to approve. The Nagara Raj bill did not happen in a vacuum. The Gram Sabha builds upon a natural village formation. Agreed, valid. We have to find those kinds of structures in the urban area. Maharashtra, for example, has said, can we not do away with one polling booth? Why don't we have clusters of 2 or 3 or 4 polling booths? No problem. Use the essential principle. This goes back to Mr. Ramachandran's point. The idea is not to over-design. Keep it flexible, keep it simple, but give it some formality. Page forward. Why should we have the polling station? You need a replicable unit which Tomorrow somebody doesn't have to worry what is the jurisdiction, how is the boundary decided. It's already decided and given. And it's so flexible because every 5 years or 10 years the Election Commission will automatically redesign based on the density of population. So somebody is already doing the work for you. Can it result in too many area sabhas? You cluster the number of polling booths. Cannot have executive power, agreed. It is not meant to have executive power. Page forward. Could result in elite capture. In fact, in Bangalore, when we were having this discussion, we said it is the only platform where Mr. Narayan Murthy has to sit with the slum dweller in Jayanagar. Because both of them are registered voters of that area. If anything, RWAs and resident welfare associations are elite capture. Because they are middle class structures. How do you choose an area sabha representative? You decide. There are options available. Could be elected, could be nominated, preferably elected. Those are decisions that you can make. Citizens will need a lot of hand-holding, yes. They will need hand-holding. That is the role of NGOs, civil society organizations, people like us to come and work. Page forward. It's happening. I want to move again, just for page down. There are lots of things. These are slum dwellers, by the way. It's unbelievable how when you show them the map, they're able to relate to it so quickly. To say, where am I? Where is my area sabha? Page forward. Page forward. I want to show what can be used for. Decentralized waste management is a massive problem in every city. It has to involve the citizen. There is no getting away from this. Tremendous opportunity to do this. The community participation fund that Dr. Ramachandran mentioned, there are now communities which are submitting projects for decentralized composting. My colleague Pramod Goni is here, who's got 30 years of grassroots experience. He was one of the biggest cynics, by the way, of area sabhas. It took him 1 year to get convinced. But today he is one of the most passionate advocates of area sabhas. So he has facilitated, there are communities now doing decentralized composting management. It reduces your cost also, because instead of transporting all the garbage to a centralized place, you are only transporting what needs to be taken out. All that is needed to be composted is already managed locally. So 50% of the material only is going for transport cost. That project, it's a 10 lakh project, 9 lakhs is coming from the union government. Please consider those kinds of projects. Local ward works. I know this because in Bangalore City Corporation, before JNNURM, I was a member of a platform created by the Chief Minister called Bangalore Agenda Task Force. There were something like 18,000 works that were going on in the city. The chief engineer did not have any clue. Some of them were emergency works from 1998. Many of these are localized works. Imagine you can easily create a very simple system where ward is empowered up to 5 lakhs, up to 10 lakhs, where you start executing, you start measuring it to outcomes, quality of life. If you do these over time, this must go up. I mentioned property tax. You create a simple instrument to say, we all know in a more or less every ward only 30 to 40% collection is happening. Create a simple instrument saying, if there is any increase, 20% will remain back in the ward for local ward works. Only the remaining 80% will come to the common pool. Create incentives for people to participate. This has happened before. It's happened in a city called Porto Alegre in Brazil. Budgets tripled without raising a single rupee of taxes, because people saw their money working for them, because they had an opportunity to participate in a systematic way. Page forward, please. CDPs. Everybody says CDP does not reflect participation. Yes, but because we did not have the structure, it's chicken and egg. The Pune mayor and commissioner asked us, how am I supposed to do participation for CDP? Am I supposed to call 50 NGOs because they talk the loudest? They are self-appointed people. Why should they represent the city? But I cannot go to talk to 50 lakh people of Pune. That is noise and chaos. So if you had a structure like this, you could have easily used this structure to do participation in a systematic way. Page forward, please. Activity mapping we have completely taken from the rural areas. Kerala has already done all this. You should be the leaders in this. We should be frankly holding national workshops saying, here is how Kerala has done it. Other states, please learn from Kerala. Can you page forward? So this is the summary and conclusion. I want to say, once again, this is the beginning of a journey. But one request I have, if we leave today's meeting with an open mind, if we have come here convinced about our point of view, then the whole meeting is pointless. But if we come here saying, let us think seriously about how to actually do this, our turn on this world will end. In 20 years, nobody will care who was commissioner of Kottayam or who was chairperson. What will remain is our legacy. What will remain is what we did to fundamentally transform the trajectory of our country. This is the obligation of our generation. Thank you.
S.N. Vijayanand, Principal Secretary, LSGD, to make his presentation.
ബഹുമാനപ്പെട്ട രാമചന്ദ്രൻ സർ, പ്രിയപ്പെട്ട ശ്രീ ആർ.കെ. സിംഗ്, മേയർമാർ, ശ്രീ രമേശ് രാമനാഥൻ, ശ്രീ രഘുനന്ദൻ, സുഹൃത്തുക്കളെ, അർബൻ ലോക്കൽ ഗവൺമെന്റ്സിലെ പാർട്ടിസിപ്പേഷൻ കേരളത്തിലെ ഒരു വിശ്വാസ പ്രമാണമായിരുന്നു ജനകീയ ആസൂത്രണം കൊണ്ടുവന്നപ്പോൾ. അന്ന് പാർട്ടിസിപ്പേഷൻ എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ വെറും ഒരു മീറ്റിംഗിൽ ഇരിക്കുകയോ ഏതാനും അഭിപ്രായം പറയുക. Awareness is there. Only thing is we have to bring them together to reactivate them. So we have what is called a Ward Sabha. Even in big urban local governments, where of course maybe 2 to 3% of the people come for Ward Sabhas to generate ideas. So people's perceptions. Then, since Ward Sabhas were not found very effective, we brought in what is called stakeholder consultations. Practically every segment of Kerala society is organized, whether it be trader or head load worker or agriculturist or somebody. So the municipality has an annual stakeholder consultation with the different groups in the municipality. Then the municipality prepares, that time the word CDP was not there, we just called it development report, which is again prepared in a participatory manner. Most of them have reports which are 5 years old, so they can be updated. And this is prepared with, it's a kind of a situation analysis which is highly participatory, with participation from all sections of society, but the active writing and analysis is done by the academic and civil society groups. Then the most important thing is the working group concept. We are very sad that the working group concept, which is a formal institution, we use the word triangulation for seeing a problem, not just triangulation. Working group is headed by a political leader, the councillor or the standing committee chairperson if he is free. The second vice chairman is a professional. The third category, it can be more than 2, 3, except the chairman can be only one and vice chairman can be only one. The convener is the official, so who gives the official viewpoint, the third viewpoint. The critical member and members are the stakeholders, whether it be traders or depending on the subject of the working group. And the last member is the activist, who may not be a specialist, but as you said, who has a passion and commitment in a sector. So this 5 streams, it's not 5 member, it could be 10, 11. That is again a critical institution of people's plan, a core institution. But unfortunately, many of it is just run-of-the-mill kind of things. 5 persons will be there, but not necessarily the 5 intended persons. Then we have what is called a development seminar, which is a microcosm of the local government, where about 500 people are called, representing practically every section of society, so that the local government declares its large development intention and reveals its development budget, and then they get to know what is to be done, and then they have their voice